Einstein once said that all Souls-likes are equal. I would like to humbly disagree with the late genius and counter that Einstein probably never even played a Souls-like in his life. And to be honest, I'd probably consider that lucky. While I personally am wholly addicted to this niche genre, I'll be the first to admit that the vast majority of Souls-likes that I've spent my hard-earned money on have been average games at best. The outliers do not make up for the overwhelming amount of booty butt garbage that I played searching for the next Miyazaki. For today's video, I figured we'd do something a little different and pit two Souls-likes against each other in a verse battle that no one asked for. You may find yourself asking, why, Gritty? Why would you compare two games released years apart? And I'll tell you why, unknown voice in my head. One, because I just beat both games recently. Two, they both have guns in a space setting. And three, because at the time of purchase, both games were on sale. These games are, of course, Hellpoint and Dolmen. If you like what you see today, send me nudes. Like and subscribe and all that good shit. Let's get to it. Hellpoint's story is set in the aftermath of a massive quantum cataclysm called the Merge. In the blink of a second, every living being has lost their mind and memories and were merged with alternate versions of themselves from parallel universes. You play as the Spawn, no, not that Spawn, and from there your choices are determined by you. Not that this is an RPG by any means, there's not many choices, at least not ones most players will be cognitive of during their gameplay, but as with most Souls-likes, there's some pivotal actions throughout that allow you to change the ultimate outcome, as well as a final boss with different outcomes based on your final dialogue. It's all pretty standard fare for the Souls genre, and while I never really cared about the story's nuance, by the end of the game when I had like 130% completion, I actually did feel some impact from the story as a whole with the hell that I had gone through to try and understand my purpose. While never entering the levels of true Miyazaki contextual storytelling, for Cradle Games' first true IP to actually make my mind race as much as it did, putting together all the pieces, I've gotta give props where props are due. This is Souls-like storytelling done right. Dolmen's story is one of a decommissioned Master Chief after 343 Industries ruined the IP and left his life in shambles. Waking up with little to no memory, Master Chief, codenamed Dolmen, lands on a small mining community inhabited by Star Trek knockoff characters, and a story that's scariest plot was how it was ever written in the first place. If it's not obvious, after spending 12 plus hours in the land of Dolmen, I know nothing about it. While yes, there is a story there, light cutscenes, plenty of codexes, and terribly voice-acted characters, you couldn't pay me to pay attention to this shit, so let's move on. Hellpoint in the graphical region, well, I'm just gonna be real with you guys, it's ugly. There's so many 2D effects used to attempt to convey 3D, terrible texturing, stiff animations, and just all-around outdated graphics. This game came out 2 years ago, but I put it on par with Dark Souls 1, which was released in 2011, so Cradle Games really doesn't have much to pat themselves on the back here, and though yes, technically FromSoft's development team is way bigger, my girlfriend has assured me repeatedly that size does not matter. Where Hellpoint absolutely shines, though, is its aesthetic. The game is a fever dream of concoctions of like dark space themes, but like if they had sex with that movie Hellraiser, and then that baby had sex with like every religion, I don't know, that's the best way I can describe it. The aesthetic, while maybe not everyone's cup of tea, absolutely did it for me. It was memorable and creepy, and every time my girl walked in the living room, she'd be like, what the fuck is on the TV? Dolmen, on the other hand, graphic-wise, is technically better. The game uses Unreal Engine, and graphic-wise, would have been absolutely serviceable for an indie game. Textures were about average, there's some occasionally interesting biomes, and I enjoyed the more colorful tones. Where this game absolutely bombs is aesthetic, though. Aesthetic is king when it comes to these types of games, and Dolmen fails on every level. Everything is bland and uninspired, and as a result throws all the possible positives out the window. Dolmen is like if the Power Rangers had sex with Halo, but then they accidentally deleted all of their concept art, so they got somebody off of Fiverr to do it for them. Gameplay is and will always be king in the Souls-like. How memorable your bosses and exploration are, in my opinion, are the true marks of a good Souls-like. Both Hellpoint and Dolmen are severely lacking polish in these arenas, though it's not all bad for Hellpoint. While Hellpoint's bosses are way too one-note to call good in terms of how you attack them, there were moments of true joy at defeating a tough enemy. Exploration is ambitious, if not always well thought out, and enemy placement makes sense. There's cool concepts like alternate portals with tougher enemies and secret goodies, and a plethora of interesting mechanics like refilling your potions by filling them up with blood, and devastating weaponry that shows the potential of what the series can be. Dolmen, on the other hand, still has a lot of work to do in the gameplay department. There really wasn't one interesting boss that I can think of, and the only gameplay mechanic I can really praise are the varied amount of interesting weapons that you can fabricate, and I personally enjoyed the linearity of its campaign. But unfortunately, everything was overshadowed by the fact that bosses and enemies alike were all just fucking bullet sponges and wars of attrition. Mix that with an utter lack of polish, buttons that stick, cameras that go haywire, and enemies that aggro far too long, and there's nothing interesting in terms of level design or enemy placement here. If you can't tell who's the clear winner, it's Hellpoint. Cradle Games has a true gem of an IP here, and I personally will be first in line to support their next title because this game is truly special. As for Dolmen, while I do think these are developers that will one day make an IP worth playing because there were true moments of hope, this game was uninspired and I felt cheated out of my time even after buying it for 70% off. Hellpoint's a 7, Dolmen's a 2.5, take it or leave it. Thanks for watching.